See, we might have it now. There we go. No? Maybe? There we go. We are live from Honolulu, Hawaii. Isn't it beautiful out there? Oh my gosh, so beautiful. You can see that the chemical reaction is going quite well today. Life is a chemical reaction, powered by the sun. Life feeds on itself, and thereby life selects for seed bodies of ever higher form and function. Switch camera. That's my close-up look. We're here in Honolulu, Hawaii. I don't know if anybody's watching or not. This is an unannounced live stream on my channel, High Ideology. Things are popping up on the... So today what I'm going to do, this is February 13th, 2024. It's a Tuesday. And what I'm going to do today, wait a minute, let's make sure the audio's right before we go too much farther here. Make sure we got this soloed. Solo, that's what we want, yes. Okay, so we're fine. Close this. This is the only one we need to worry about. And we should be all right. We'll find out later on whether or not we're all right or not. I'm here in the living room area of my apartment home here in Honolulu, Hawaii. See the side view. And corner view. Okay, so now what we're going to do today is I'm going to read for you or recite chapter out of my recite a chapter out of a book that I've wrote. This is chapter 59 of what am I calling the book? My House of Ideology. And it's chapter 59, Projection Theory. So without any further ado, I don't think you want to look at my face all the time. So what we will do is we will switch to this, which is we'll add media. We will add this. So you can see my face. Go! All right. Jeez. Now, where's this thing? Let us suppose some people believe in the value of pessimistic myths. In that event, projection theory would enable me, I would be able to predict these people tend to project. They gather truths about their set of living arrangements. They project their truths into their imaginations. They use their imaginations. They make myths. Their myths suggest their truths. Why do they tend to do this? Projection theory enables me. I offer an explanation. The explanation is they value certain ideas. These certain ideas are their values. They wish to use their senses and perceptions. They wish to confirm their belief in the value of their ideas. Many of their ideas are truths. Their senses and perceptions enable them. They can verify truths are true. For that reason, they can confirm their belief in the value of their truths. Many of their values are myths. Their senses and perceptions do not enable them. They cannot verify whether or not myths are true. They cannot verify whether or not myths are false. Myths are both unverifiable and unfalsifiable. For that reason, they cannot confirm their belief in the value of their myths. However, their myths can suggest truths. The act of suggesting their truths can enable them. They can confirm their belief in the value of their myths. Let us suppose the truths were a few paranoid, oppressive, violent people ruled over domestic territories. The few paranoid, oppressive, violent people were at war with outsiders. The outsiders ruled over foreign territories. People lived within their domestic territories. A system of reward and punishment existed. The system compelled the people. The people observed and obeyed the will of the few paranoid, oppressive, violent people. The people disregarded and disobeyed the will of the outsiders. In that event, projection theory would enable me, I would predict, these people tended to project. These people would have used their senses and perceptions, searched their surroundings, gathered truths about their set of living arrangements. These people would have projected their truths into their imaginations. They would have used their imaginations. They would have made myths. Their myths would have suggested their truths. For that reason, their myths would have been pessimistic. The act of suggesting their truths would have enabled these people would have been able to confirm their belief in the value of their myths. Let us suppose their myths were a good entity rules in heaven. The good entity is at war with an evil entity. The evil entity rules over the earth. A system of divine eternal reward and abominable infernal punishment exists. The system compels the faithful. The faithful must observe and obey the will of the good entity. The faithful must disregard and disobey the will of the evil entity. In that event, the act of suggesting their truths would not make their myths into truths. Their myths would remain myths. However, these people believe in the value of pessimistic myths. Projection theory enables me, I predict, the act of suggesting their truths would have enabled these people would have been able to confirm their belief in the value of their myths. Let us suppose the truths were the needs and aspirations of the few paranoid, oppressive, violent people did achieve and maintain authority, power, order, and control. For that reason, the few paranoid, oppressive, violent people gained influence over religious authority figures. Religious authority figures gained influence over communities of faithful believers. Communities of faithful believers gained influence over members. Members affirmed an ability to know. The few paranoid, oppressive, violent people are representatives of the good entity here on planet Earth. The few paranoid, oppressive, violent people are divinely ordained to rule over domestic territories. The will of the few paranoid, oppressive, violent people is, in fact, the will of the good entity. The few paranoid, oppressive, violent people are at war with outsiders. The outsiders are representatives of the evil entity here on planet Earth. The outsiders are not divinely ordained to rule over foreign territories. The will of the outsiders is, in fact, the will of the evil entity. In that event, projection theory would enable me, I predict, these truths were true when their myths were made. These truths were true when their religious authority figures wrote down words in a set of sacred scrolls. The myth makers were subject to a set of living arrangements. Their truths were about their set of living arrangements. They projected their truths into their imaginations. They used their imaginations. They made myths. Their myths suggested their truths. For that reason, their myths were pessimistic myths. Let us suppose time passes. The few paranoid, oppressive, violent people no longer rule over domestic territories. A democracy rules over domestic territories. The democracy supports a large middle class. The large middle class forms a secular pluralistic society. The secular pluralistic society supports the freedoms and rights of people. In that event, the people would be subject to a new set of living arrangements. Let us suppose communities of faithful believers still exist. Members still believe in the value of these pessimistic myths. In the minds of members, confirmation of their belief in the value of these pessimistic myths means members are correct in their belief in the value of these pessimistic myths. Members wish to be correct. For that reason, members wish for these pessimistic myths to suggest truths about their set of living arrangements. However, the absence of an autocracy complicates things. The absence of psychotic extremes of poverty and wealth complicates things. The absence of a religious elitist society complicates things. The absence of slaveries and wrongs complicates things. Let us suppose further, some members don't like these complications. The members blame the democracy, the large middle class, the secular pluralistic society, freedoms and rights for all manners of social ills. The members tout a return to a universal belief in the value of these pessimistic myths as a remedy. The members wish to replace the democracy with an autocracy. The members wish to replace the large middle class with psychotic extremes of poverty and wealth. The members wish to replace the secular pluralistic society with a religious elitist society. The members wish to replace freedoms and rights with slaveries and wrongs. Let us suppose even further, loud voices spread out across the land. The loud voices shout from the mountain tops about their belief in the value of these pessimistic myths. The loud voices affirm an ability to know these pessimistic myths are truths. The loud voices attract communities of faithful believers. Members become candidates. The candidates campaign for political office. Communities of faithful believers support their campaigns. Their campaigns attract the support of the majority of voters. The majority of voters elect the candidates. The candidates become politicians. The politicians enact policies. The policies enable a few people. The few people become a few paranoid, oppressive, violent people. Let us suppose, finally, the few paranoid, oppressive, violent people replace democracy with autocracy. The few paranoid, oppressive, violent people replace the large middle class with psychotic extremes of poverty and wealth. The few paranoid, oppressive, violent people replace the secular pluralistic society with a religious elitist society. The few paranoid, oppressive, violent people replace freedoms and rights with slaveries and wrongs. In that event, projection theory predicts members would use their senses and perceptions, search their surroundings, gather truths about their set of living arrangements, project their truths into their imaginations, use their imaginations, make myths. Their myths would suggest their truths, and for that reason, their myths would be pessimistic myths. The act of suggesting their truths would enable the members could confirm their belief in the value of these pessimistic myths. The members could do so without complications. Let us suppose members affirm an ability to know. The good entity chose prophets. The good entity revealed visions of the future to the prophets. Religious authority figures wrote down the exclusive divine revelations of spiritual knowledge as words in a set of sacred scrolls. The religious authority figures know how to translate and interpret the words. The religious authority figures say the visions of the future are: these are the end times. Armageddon is imminent. Armageddon is a necessary, final, horrible war. After Armageddon occurs, the good entity will have a final victory over the evil entity. In that event, projection theory predicts the visions of the future make predictions about the final outcome of the competition to rule. The predictions are a horrible war will occur. After the horrible war, the few paranoid, oppressive, violent people will have a final victory over the outsiders. The few paranoid, oppressive, violent people rule over domestic territories. The outsiders rule over foreign territories. So in effect, this means the prediction is, after the horrible war, the few paranoid, oppressive, violent people will rule over the entire world. The identities of insiders and outsiders are a matter of point of view. The locations of domestic and foreign territories are also a matter of point of view. For that reason, the few paranoid, oppressive, violent people in every territory can claim to be the representatives of the good entity for whom the visions of the future predict final victory. Let us suppose members affirm an ability to know the good entity revealed further visions of the future to the prophets. Religious authority figures say the further visions of the prophets are: after the good entity has a final victory over the evil entity, the good entity will judge all people. The good entity will use a system of divine eternal reward and abominable infernal punishment. The good entity will find some people observed and obeyed the will of the good entity. The good entity will reward. The good entity will reward those people. The good entity will elevate those people to a place of divine eternal bliss. The good entity will find some people disregarded and disobeyed the will of the good entity. The good entity will punish those people. The good entity will throw those people into a place of abominable infernal torment. In that event, projection theory predicts the visions of the future make predictions about the future behaviors of the few paranoid, oppressive, violent people. The predictions are the few paranoid, oppressive, violent people will have a final victory over the outsiders. The few paranoid, oppressive, violent people will judge all people. The few paranoid, oppressive, violent people will use a system of reward and punishment. The few paranoid, oppressive, violent people will find some people observed and obeyed the will of the few paranoid, oppressive, violent people. The few paranoid, oppressive, violent people will reward those people. The few paranoid, oppressive, violent people will elevate those people to a place of safety and refuge. The place of safety and refuge will be a haven on earth. The few paranoid, oppressive, violent people will find some people disregarded and disobeyed the will of the few paranoid, oppressive, violent people. The few paranoid, oppressive, violent people will punish those people. The few paranoid, oppressive, violent people will throw those people into a place of danger and exposure. The place of danger and exposure will be a hell on earth. Some of those people will perform slave labor under horrendous conditions until they die of disease or starvation. Some of those people will be murdered upon arrival. Let us suppose some people believe in the value of pessimistic myths. In that event, projection theory would enable me. I would predict these people tend to project. These people use their senses and perceptions. They gather truths about their set of living arrangements. These people tend to project their truths into their imaginations. They use their imaginations. They make myths. Their myths suggest their truths. For that reason, their myths are pessimistic myths. A pessimistic myth is a spiritual conflict between good and evil divides the spiritual realm. The myth suggests a truth. The truth is a primal conflict between predator and prey divides our body-consuming biosphere. A pessimistic myth is a good entity rules in heaven. The myth suggests a truth. The truth is a few paranoid, oppressive, violent people ruled over domestic territories. A pessimistic myth is the good entity is at war with an evil entity. The myth suggests a truth. The truth is a few paranoid, oppressive, violent people are at war with outsiders. A pessimistic myth is an evil entity rules over the earth. The myth suggests a truth. The truth is the outsiders ruled over foreign territories. A pessimistic myth is a system of divine eternal reward and abominable infernal punishment exists. The myth suggests a truth. The truth is a system of reward and punishment existed. A pessimistic myth is the laws of a deity exist. The myth suggests a truth. The truth is the laws of the state existed. A pessimistic myth is The laws of a deity and/or deities govern the behavior and fate of matter and energy in the known universe. The pessimistic myth suggests a truth. The truth is, laws of cause and effect predict the behavior and fate of matter and energy in the known universe. A pessimistic myth is, a savior exists. The savior loves you. The myth suggests a truth. The truth is, people often form lifelong relationships with a spouse. Let us suppose a person is willing to accept the spouse into their heart. In that event, the spouse would exist. The spouse would love the person. A pessimistic myth is punishment for breaking the laws of a deity and/or deities exist. The myth suggests a truth. The truth is that disease and death exist. A pessimistic myth is rewards for obeying the laws of the deity and/or deities exist. The myth suggests a truth. The truth is life and immunity exists. A pessimistic myth is spiritual stratification exists. The myth suggests a truth. The truth is socioeconomic stratification existed. A pessimistic myth is a place of abominable infernal torment exists. The myth suggests a truth. The truth is the fiery interior of the earth exists. A pessimistic myth is a place of divine eternal bliss exists. The myth suggests a truth. The truth is the sky exists. A pessimistic myth is a deity exists. The myth suggests a truth. The truth is the moon exists. The pessimistic myth is a deity exists. The myth suggests a truth. The truth is the sun exists. A pessimistic myth is a deity exists. The myth suggests a truth. The truth is the universe exists. Pessimistic myth is a godless totality exists. The myth suggests a truth. The truth is we know a finite amount about an infinite subject. Let us suppose some people believe in the value of pessimistic myths. In that event, projection theory would enable me. I would predict these people tend to project. They gather truths about their set of living arrangements. They project their truths into their imaginations. They use their imaginations. They make myths. Their myths suggest their truths. For that reason, their myths are pessimistic myths. The act of suggesting their truths enables those people. These people can confirm their belief in the value of their pessimistic myths. The most optimistic myths do not suggest their truths. The act of not suggesting their truths does not enable them. They cannot confirm a belief in the value of the most optimistic myths. For those reasons, they value pessimistic myths, they devalue the most optimistic myths. We know next to nothing about almost everything. The totality makes possible an infinite number, diversity, and variety of myths. Optimism correlates with happiness, good health, and prosperity. For that reason, the logical, rational, sane choice to make when orienting self to the world and explaining the world to self is a belief in the value of the most optimistic myths. So there we go. Got through it. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. So I found it was useful for me. I found a few typos and things that need to be fixed in the text. And we will work on fixing that so that when we publish this book, it is a well-written book and not a book that's going to be difficult to read because of grammatical and other errors. So I want to thank you for tuning in. If you tuned in at all, I see there's nobody who's watched. That's fine. That's fine. I didn't tell anybody I was going to be doing this. I just decided to do it. And you may note that I didn't use any brand names in this video. What is a brand name? It's like, whatever somebody is using to make money in this world. I don't talk about other people's names but this applies to certain people, but I try to give this a very Delphic, kind of ambiguous sound to it. Like the oracles of Delphi, yeah. Like an oracle, basically. Does that mean I think of myself as an oracle? No, but I'm just saying that I don't want to mess with somebody else's brand, because messing with other people's brands is how you get into trouble with people who are paranoid, oppressive, and violent. And we've got a lot of people in this world right now who I don't want to mess with. But it does apply to some people. So here it is. It is now after 4 o'clock here in Honolulu, Hawaii. On February 13, 2024. Thank you very much. I'm going to go ahead and end the stream right now. If you like this content or you want to see more of the same, be sure to subscribe. Bye for now.